Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I have another guest here today with what I think is actually a pretty great service that definitely ties into some of the stuff I do within senior transition housing. So if you could please introduce yourself and tell us about your business, we'll get this started.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be on here. My name is Melissa Pistorius. My business is Sunflower Life Organizing. And what I do is I help people focus on what's most important in their lives and then remove the excess stuff so they can have the energy to focus on what's most important to them. A lot of the time I work with other people who are neurodivergent. I have ADHD, and sometimes it's hard to focus on what's most important. So I work a lot there. And I also met Stephen because we work with seniors. I like helping them to be able to say, okay, we had this stuff, it was part of life, and now it's not so much. Let's get to a place where home is a relaxing, enjoyable place to be. I do this by helping people to downsize their things and then be able to set up routines and systems in their homes to keep organized and keep focused on what's most important to them.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really struck out to me in that I think we will probably talk a bit more about is just that in the senior space especially, but maybe even people in general, it is shocking how much stuff people have.
Mhm.
And emotional response to having to organize or downsize and move is almost crippling in what I have seen. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that in your experience and just some thoughts, maybe even a line of advice or two.
As I've been doing this, I've done some research and read a lot of really cool books. And one book that I read that was really interesting said that the average American home has something like 300,000 items in it. That's a lot of stuff, right? You don't realize you have that much stuff until you try and move it on. You're like, where did this all come from? It's like multiplying as I pull it out. But our brains can actually only remember about 100 different items. And so when we look at the disparity between those numbers and say, we have this much stuff that's part of life, and we can only remember this amount of stuff, setting up systems so we know, oh, hey, I need this thing. Maybe I need a tool. I don't have to remember where did I stick the hammer last time if I've got a system that all the tools go in the toolbox when I'm done with them. And then I can just go there and remember that's where it is. What I'm trying to do is help people relieve that mental load of remembering all of this stuff. Our brains just aren't designed for it. Our brains are wired to connect with people and to connect with the world around us, not so much with the stuff we have. As we work together to downsize, that lessens that stress on our brains to be able to do the things that are more important to us. And especially with seniors, a lot of seniors that I've talked to want to spend their golden years enjoying making new friends or enjoying time with family and enjoy traveling and things like that and don't want to be tied down to, oh, I have a house full of stuff and I don't know what to do with it.
I thought we would talk a lot about seniors, but actually, hearing what you're saying and some of the books you're talking about, I actually feel like talking just in general is probably going to be more beneficial. Because when it comes to seniors and they have to basically do the move management and all that, they're like getting out of the house and they're moving into a place where they'll never have that kind of personal property again. They'll never
Mhm.
have those amounts of items. But say the general public, they might take all that stuff with them or move into a bigger place or into a place that's the same size. Do you think it's worthwhile that people should go through their personal property, their belongings, like once or twice a year? Like we've always heard of spring cleaning, for example. Is
Mhm.
that a healthy thing you think to do that people should do more often? What's your opinion on that?
I think for sure it's something that should be looked at more frequently than it is. A lot of times when people are moving to a new space, you get down to the wire and you say, "Oh, just throw everything in a box and we'll move it to the new place." If people could be more intentional and say, "Okay, we're moving to this new space. What do we actually want to bring with us? Do we want to actually take these boxes of stuff that maybe we haven't used?" I was talking to my dad once and he'd lived in a house for 10 years and then was moving across country. And he said, there's boxes here that we haven't even opened in the 10 years we've been in this house, and we're still taking them across the country just because it's stuff that we have. And I don't know, maybe it was my stepmom's a crafter and knitter and she likes to hoard yarn and other things like that. So maybe it was more stuff like that, that it was just like, we haven't got to these projects, but also there's a time to look at it and be like, I haven't done anything, whether it's I haven't worn this outfit in 2 years, or I haven't used these kitchen tools in 6 months or whatever. So I definitely do advocate going through. Spring cleaning is a great time to do it. But whenever you're looking at a space and just being more intentional with it, saying, what do I actually want my wardrobe to look like? And saying, maybe I have all of these clothes that I used to wear a lot that I don't wear anymore because I don't have occasion to, or don't fit in them anymore, things like that. We always want to say, oh, we're holding on to it because maybe one day I'm going to get to it. And that one day sometimes never comes. And so I like to help my clients to be able to say, these are the things. If I'm going to keep this thing, what am I going to do so I'm actually using it?
Yeah.
If I'm keeping this really fancy dress, am I going to go to some gala this year? If I'm keeping these tools that I bought once to do this hobby, am I going to use it, or am I going to share it with somebody else? Part of what I really enjoy when I work with my clients is just helping them to see it's not like this thing that's sitting here. Maybe it brought us joy at one point, but if it's not still bringing us joy and not still something we use, we can let it go and other people can use that. And that's why something I like to do with my clients is when they have things that they're letting go of that they just want to donate, I have several very intentional places where I choose to take those donations. Places like the Other Side thrift store, they have a great program and they use the funds from their thrift store to support that. A lot of times when I work with clients and they say, oh, hey, this thing is going to this space that needs it, that helps people to let go of their stuff and not have to worry about having so much stuff.
Yeah, that's funny the way you're talking about that, because sometimes with the estate sale stuff, we can't sell everything, but
Mm-hmm.
we still believe in donating it as opposed to just throwing it in a dumpster because
Mm-hmm.
we talk about passing on the loved one's legacy, and a lot of families find great solace in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, how exactly did you get into doing this as a business? Like, what prompted you to do this? What happened?
So for me, a lot of people who are organizers say, oh, I was just always an organized kid. And that wasn't me. I have ADHD. Most of the people in my family struggle with some sort of neurodiversity. As I went through trying to organize all of our lives, I'd read books and say, oh, this suggests one thing and it's not really working for me. And so I had to really dig in and find things that actually worked for me. And so when I did, and I'd spent years reading books, trying things, understanding how my brain worked, how different people's brains worked, I said, this is something that I can do to help other people. I know for me personally, for a while, I just felt like I am this failure because I can't get organized. I can't get out from under all of this stuff that I have. And that's why I started and named my business Sunflower Life Organizing, because to me, sunflowers represent hope. And so in naming it that and focusing on that, I try to bring that hope to my clients that, yeah, maybe organizing isn't an easy thing for you. Maybe you need support in it, but there is support, there is help.
I think about organization myself, and I felt like I went through periods in my life where I was more organized than wasn't organized. And, you
Mhm.
know, talk about business in general. I've noticed with people who have successful businesses or the people who have systems and organization. I don't think you can function as a high performing business without a level of organization or even a high level of organization. Imagine that extends, I'm curious if you share this opinion, that that would extend to just individual lives and families and such, that having organization will raise their standard of living.
For sure, it definitely does. When we're intentional and we have a system set up and it's just, okay, I know I do X, Y, and Z, whether this is, I like drinking coffee in the morning. And so I'm going to set up a space that has all of the things that I need to do to coffee. My partner drinks a lot of coffee. And so we've got the kettle for her and her grinder and everything just right there. So she just has to grab it and do it instead of like searching throughout the kitchen. This is over here and this is over here. And I really enjoy creating those spaces for my clients where it's like, you want to do this thing, whether it's you want to eat a certain way in your kitchen or you want to have this space to be organized to run a business, or you want to have a space to exercise, whatever it looks like. When we have spaces that are specifically designed for that and then have routines to keep them in a functional way, that removes all of the mental load of, hey, I'd really like to work out, but if I wanted to go down and work out in my workout room, I have to spend a half hour moving all the stuff that just got set there.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like efficiency.
Yeah.
And that efficiency saves time, it reduces stress. It kind of is funny to think about efficiency. I don't know if did you ever read the old book Cheaper by the Dozen? Or I know there's a couple movies of it, but I read the book as a kid.
I did never read the book. I have seen the movies.
Yeah, the book was it's like set in the 20s or 30s, but the dad, I believe in it, he was an efficiency expert. He
Hmm.
would go into businesses or places to teach people how to be more efficient. And it would be through a lot of organization and stuff. That's what this kind of reminds me of. I don't think I would have thought of the word efficiency because again, sometimes we talk about things like this and people would probably think it's like boring
Hmm.
until it's a problem. It's
Yeah.
boring until it's a problem in your life that gets in the way of living a fulfilled, I would say, joyful life, even.
Yeah.
I think systems like this can help prevent things like, sometimes I've had hoarder houses, right? Or even if they're not hoarders, they're aggressive collectors. They just have a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to this lack of organization and efficiency.
Hmm.
So I guess the question I have for you is, in terms of serving a client, when do you think is the ideal time for you to come in? When they are actually moving residences or when they're going to continue to live in their current home?
I think there's a great time in either of those instances for me to come in. It provides different challenges in whether we're staying or moving because sometimes, especially in senior homes, we have years of accumulated stuff. We have to stay here, but we have to create, maybe we have mobility issues and we have need to accommodate a walker or a wheelchair or something like that. And so taking time when there's transitions like that can be very beneficial in saying, okay, we don't need to keep this stuff. We need to make space for living in this space. When a client is moving to a new space, being able to know where they're moving to and know what kind of space there is and being realistic about how much stuff can fit in a space like that. A lot of people that I've seen have moved from, oh, I had a 5 bedroom house, 3,000 square feet of stuff, and I'm moving into a 1 or 2 bedroom small apartment and assisted living facility. And having realistic conversations about, okay, this was life before and this is life now, and this is things that need to change in that. It can be a very difficult conversation. A lot of people, especially seniors, get set in their ways, say, we've done this for this long. I don't want to change how I'm doing things. But that becomes a necessity, whether it's for health reasons or space reasons or whatever. Being able to bring empathy in that and say, okay, yes, this is who you were, this is things that you've done, but also let's make life the best for you now. So you're not spending all of your time moving stuff around so you can get around to your apartment.
Yeah, just a couple of other thoughts before we wrap up. I think the next question I had for you is how long does it normally take for you to come in and do this type of service? Obviously, it probably depends on the amount of items and the size of the home, but maybe still an average you can kind of give the audience of how long it takes you to come into a home and help set up some of these systems and to organize belongings.
So it depends on if we're doing kind of a whole home organization or just specific rooms. I tend to say like your basic, like a bedroom, unless it's super full of stuff, is only going to take a few hours to go through. Maybe it's going through the closet, going through whatever. Whereas a kitchen is going to take a lot, like 10 to 20 hours, depending on the size of the kitchen and what kind of needs to happen. Then we're spending a lot of time is in storage rooms and garages and trying to go through stuff from old hobbies, whether that's looking at food storage or whatever. And that's when it starts to take a lot more time to go through the items individually to be able to say, okay, what are we keeping? What were we not keeping?
There's just so many variables.
Yeah.
It's impossible to give a quote. And that's similar to the estate sale business. We've gotten to where people want quotes of how much they think they'll make. But
Hmm.
the thing is, they'll have stuff in closets or in drawers. We don't give quotes anymore.
Yeah.
Like we just know if we want to do it or not. Because in the end, we can't even guarantee 100% what something will pay for. So
Yeah.
it could be, it could be a range like, oh, this is going to be somewhere between $4,000 and $9,000. That's a pretty big range. So what's
Mhm.
quoting it, right? It's just, now we'll tell people, hey, this isn't going to make a ton of money, like, and this is what we charge, but we can't give an exact quote. What are some other things you want to share about yourself and your business before we wrap up our video?
One thing I really want to share is that when I work with my clients, a lot of people say, oh, this is just going through my stuff. I can do this by myself. That's very true. There's nothing that I'm doing that is super innovative and like, oh, wow. I do have a system which is very beneficial in keeping us on track. I tell my clients that they can get 3 times as much done working with me as they could by themselves based on a myriad of factors, knowing that two people working together are always going to get through more stuff, but also I have a system of how we organize things and how we categorize things as we're sorting through stuff. And also just that kind of emotional companionship of sometimes people get caught up as they're going through stuff on their own and be like, oh, I remember this, or that nostalgia. And that is part of the process. And I want to be there and present for my clients, but also want to help them be able to do things as efficiently as possible.
That's awesome. How can people best contact you and find you online?
So my website is sunflowerlifeorganizing.com. There's a form that you can fill out there. You can also email me at sunflowerlifeorganizing@gmail.com. And you can find me on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, just under Sunflower Life Organizing.
And thank you for saying all that out loud. It does help the YouTube stuff as well. Now, folks, of course, we'll have her information below in the description box. If you have any questions, reach out directly. Of course, if you like the content in this channel, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for coming. We really appreciate it.